it doesn't exist. And when a law doesn't have consequences, it doesn't exist.
So people are not even scared.
People are not aware that what they are doing is wrong. In the first instance, because for those of us that are environmental activists, if you go in and you tell them, oh, don't do this, oh, don't do that, they begin to, fight back. To say, this is what our fathers have been doing, this is what we have been doing, even government knows that we are doing it, so what you are saying is wrong. So the first thing is, we must create that consciousness that we live in a very delicate environment. The mangrove barrier protects us from ocean surge. It protects us from tsunamis and a whole lot of things. And if we don't take action towards preserving these forest resources that protect us and also provide for us, in the next 10, 15 years,
I was going to ask you the dangers, but I'll still ask you.
Yes.
But you're already there. I was going to ask you, what are the dangers of destroying our wetland? Just like, you talked about the trees, you talked about, the foreign, whatever that comes. And the way it seems, nobody is paying attention to these things. So in which case, what do you think?
Well, at the local level, before we started adopting technologies, our people have conservation practices. For instance, I know in the Nembe axis, one of the key conservation principles they adopted was that you can't sell periwinkle. So when you go to the mangrove forest, you pick the big ones, the ones that should be, harvested. You pick, you go to your house, you cook with it, and then you are okay. And
you don't sell.
You don't sell.
This is the first time of year. So
no, you don't sell. You don't sell. It's a conservation practice, and we are studying it. We want to document it that before the advent of climate change and all of those things, we have our own indigenous climate environment protection practices. In the Calabar axis, it is what is called bubain. Bu is the mangrove forest. You go to a mangrove forest, it will be open for, let's say, 3 to 4 months. And then the king will make a pronouncement. Nobody should go to this forest. Okay, now this other forest is open. So that the forest will regenerate itself. But right now, everything goes. You see people going, they pick periwinkles. Periwinkles are now very expensive.
Yeah, very expensive.
In fact, there are other species that I know that we used to have in abundance that no longer exist. Like the conch. We call it ingolo.
Yes.
The oyster, which Calabari people call inde. You can hardly see them. Normally, even when you go to toilet, the peer latrine system, you find them clinging on the bodies of the toilets, But right now, they are no longer there. And these are
so what do you think
things of concern.
What went wrong?
I have mentioned them. Especially the pollution that comes with the oil and gas industry, and then our own making, the fire industry.
Yeah, you did.
So those things are there. Mosquito it's no longer there. These are common things that we find in our, especially in the mangrove forest ecosystem. I can mention some.
So in other words, we lose these things when we destroy our.
For sure.
That is the danger.
Yes.
The dangers of
that is one of the dangers.
That is just one.
Just one of the dangers. Yes, because we are losing our traditional food.
Cultural,
yes, food. The second danger that I mentioned is ocean intrusion. There is a barrier along the Atlantic coastline that serves as a forest strip along the Atlantic coastline that serves as a windbreaker. And when you go there, you log, you cut down trees, and then you dredge. When you dredge, some of the plants goes into the river, and expose the environment. So you see, the sand that should naturally build up going back into the ocean because there's nothing to hold it. If you go to Bonny, there are villages that are no longer in existence. I can mention names. In my lifetime, I visited one.
So what happened?
Amariari, that community is no longer there. The ocean has eaten that community up.
And so the people moved?
Yes, you have to relocate. You won't...
I know.
Yes.
I know.
When you are against it will take everything along this path. There's an Asian community where we have the first missionary school. It's called Ogugumanga in Bonny.
Where is that in Bonny?
That one is no longer there. So these are, maybe we are still not conscious to the fact that we are losing things, but there are realities that lives with us. These are realities that lives with us. So there are other factors like tsunami. That is, if we don't take action now, you see waves coming in unhindered.
But of course, I think it was just last year that we didn't have that very destructive
flooding.
Yes, I think it was just last year. Over the years now, for quite some time we've been having it, especially for those of them in
the Orashi houses, the Delta houses, yes.
Houses. So it's possible that this could be one of the
well, yes, it's that we are not mindful of our environment. Yes, is one reason.
One reason.
Now, let me say this. Our people try to manage and work with the environment. Before now, if you go to the Bayelsa axis, their houses are built on sticks. They are raised because they know that at some point,
for the fisher,
not just for the fisher men, also for the farmers, they know that at some point in the year, especially that period when the earth is closest to the moon, there will be a surge in the water level. The water level will increase. So instead of waiting until that time to begin to look for what you will do, they build their houses on raised platforms so that when the water comes, it doesn't affect them. But now everybody who want to live in concrete buildings, and we are not putting that our inherent knowledge, that knowledge that was passed on. Yes, we just build, and then when water comes, it take over the houses, and we lose our belongings, our things, and we complain.
Okay, we've talked much about the dangers why we are losing our wetlands. We'll take just a small break because we don't have all the time. Of course, when we come back, we'll begin to talk about how we protect our wetlands, and then we'll talk about our culture, as it has to do with those of us in the wetland area. We'll take a break now, then we'll be right back. Hello, you're welcome to In-Depth, where we bring Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is In-Depth and only on Rstv. With me in the studio has been Livingstone Membry, who is the Executive Director of Manpower Development and Environmental Protection Initiative. He was also the coordinator of Partners for Peace. It's called P4P. And together we are taking a look at, of course, 2 days ago was World Wetland Day. And so today we are discussing World Wetland Day, preserving our cultural heritage. Because as a people, who live on wetland, there is need for us to, you know, preserve our culture, which is part of that wetland. You know, he talked about the Prewenko, the Angala, the Mbe, the people. You find out that they're all together. And so this time around, I want us to take a look at how we can preserve this, our wetland, because when we preserve it alongside, we also preserve our culture. We preserve our fishes, we preserve our Mbe, we preserve, what are the other ones we call Ngolo and the rest of them, which is part of us as a people of, you know, the Niger Delta region, as a people living in.
To raise this awareness that even if we don't see it as a major danger, it's going to be a major danger in the future if we don't come together to protect our environment, our wetlands. So the first thing we should do, and I must commend you, is to raise awareness. Let people know that these things that we take for granted, that we say they are common things, it doesn't concern us. It can go on forever. At some point in time, it will backfire. And when it backfires, we might not be able to absorb the consequences. So
sensitization, awareness, yes. Creation, which is part of what we are doing, yes, here, and that is also what, you know, the world does on World Wetlands Day.
Yes. The second thing is maybe to revisit our traditional preservation systems and then strengthen them. Yes, I've mentioned some. Yeah. I know every area has a way of preserving their forest. Sometimes they'll say, don't go into this forest.
Peculiar way.
Yes, don't go into this forest area. This period is evil. But somehow they are preserving it. So sometimes they say, don't kill this species of animal, don't do this, don't do that. So we should study that and see what will work for us in our present, this contemporary period we are in. Government legislature, there are laws, there are agencies. But
so we should be drawing the attention of the agencies too.
Because in fact, the agencies are far from the community. It's regulatory agencies and enforcement agencies with communities, so that, you know, now community leadership doesn't have much power, just like the power of the democratic leadership. They don't have much power. They can't. There is a limit to which they can.
Yes. Used to be the king can say,
the king can decree, and then it will happen. But now, even if the king decrees
and the local government
doesn't accept a hand, so there needs to be that synergy. We need to be partners in progress, and then the agencies should work more with the community so that there will be early warning signs, early reporting. It's not when the thing has happened that you now begin to look for the culprit. No, we don't want a reactive approach. It's the environment we are talking about. If we can be proactive and if we can stop it before it happens, it will be fine. And I think the best set of people that can give government and those agencies the information are the community people, because they know their terrain.
There's an area that I want you to handle a bit now, because of what you were talking about. Some few months ago, years back, some few months ago, some few years ago, we see people who, you know, via Facebook, you see people who are killing whales. You know, these are the kind of fish that, you know, in the developed world should be preserved. I think there was a particular one I saw, a particular tortoise, big, and they were carrying them, you know. Then somewhere, I think in the Ijaw environment, we also saw the whales. So I don't know, our people, this is not the kind of thing that should be killed, but rather preserved. It's part of what we're talking about. I think they said water washed it out and people descended on it.
You know, that what you just said will be a very difficult thing to achieve now, because we do not have a system we do not yet have a system that is producing for us. Like we don't have fisheries. We don't.
So when they
and again, because of the pollution and everything, when you go for fishing, you catch little. So
when
you can't tell a very hungry person that sees a whale, don't eat it, right? So the first thing we need to do is to have areas that is reserved. Nobody goes in there to fish. Okay. If we have that sort of, like what the Andoni people have been able to achieve, they still have elephants in their forest. Yeah. And you can't go there to say you want to push the elephant. You can't. You can't do that, even if there are mysteries surrounding it. But at least for those of us in the environment sector, we know that they have taken a step towards conserving that. Why can't the River State government designate the Andoni forest a national park?
Okay.
Or go to Bile forest. Bile also has rich, I said Bile, Abisa, also have rich forest resources. K has rich forest resources. Why don't we look at these places and say, okay, for the next 10, 15 years, nobody goes there to hunt. And people can go in there. Bonny, I give kudos to Bonny. They have a national park in Bonny, where if you go, you see monkeys, you see everything. They did it on their own because of.
So we need to do more of that.
We need to do more of that. If we do that and we say, for so and so period, you don't fish in so and so river or lake. If you do so, this is the penalty. Nobody will go in there. I know of areas that we still have manatee. This they call sea lion. Yeah. Just off Aristown. People go there, well, not with the intention of killing them, but the manatee gets entangled in their nets, and then they are taken
They become food.
Yes, these are species that.
But in the developed world,
yes,
they will go and release them and push them back.
At some point, you won't know, because by the time you will get to the net, the manatee has already died. Yes, that's what happens most of the time. But if government takes conscious effort and now say, this area, don't put your net. You understand? This area, don't put your net, because we want to protect the manatees that are there, or we want to protect.
Especially for the areas they've seen.
Yes, there are a very large concentration of manatee between Aristown and Ogonokom, between Aristown and these other Equatorial communities. So it is there.
Maybe, I think
not Obakre. Ondua also.
Okay.
So there are areas like this. We need to map these areas and then take deliberate action towards conserving the little ones we still have. Perhaps in the next 20, 30 years, we'll see more elephants, we'll see more manatees, we'll see more dolphins. We have dolphins. We have the most expensive fish was one killed in Nembe, the marlin shark.
Okay, I think it was the one that was on
Yes,
Facebook.
very expensive. But
very
because we don't know the value. So government should begin to think
and
of.
And at the point, people are saying, people they hungry, they say make they live for what now? Yeah, I'm sure you came across that. Okay, let's move on to the theme. Of course, we're talking about World Wetland Day. And the theme says, wetlands and traditional knowledge, celebrating cultural heritage. Traditional knowledge. You seem to have a whole lot of traditional knowledge that you're talking about here. And so we'll talk about celebrating cultural heritage. How do we celebrate our cultural heritage?
Let me start by saying that everything evolves around your environment. Okay. I know that when we say culture, it sounds something else to some persons, especially to those religious people. It sounds something else. But culture simply is the way of life of a people. And it is influenced by how they are connected to their environment. I can give series and series and series of examples. like the normal dance, the river statesman dances. How did it come about?
The masquerade.
No, not the masquerade. The normal waist dance. Yeah.
You bend down and you shoot.
Our people were just mimicking the fishes.
Really?
Yes. Observe the fish in the river. That's the way the waist, the tail goes, and that is exactly what we are doing. So there are a lot of things. If you go up north, how do the thief people dance? They dance in a very sleek. They are making the snake. You have a lot of snakes there. So our practices are tied to our environment. For instance, in Kalabari, Nembe, Boni, that have a society called the Eknesekapu. How did that Eknesekapu evolve? It's by interaction with the environment. Watching the environment, observing what is happening in the environment, and then replicating it on land, either as for entertainment or for spiritual purposes. So, as a people, the moment you take the rivers away from River State, we are no longer rivers people. The moment you take the mangrove away from the Niger Delta, it's no longer the Niger Delta. The moment you take away those marshy lands, we can't call ourselves the same people again, because we have lived to identify ourselves with that particular type of environment. So
the food we eat,
our practices, even our spirituality. Yes, there's a strong relationship between spirituality and the environment. For instance, they say Lion of the tribe of Judah. They say upon Mount Zion, there's a mountain, and it's part of the environment there. Man of Galilee, there's a river called Galilee. It's part of the environment. So whether you like it or not, wherever you come from, whatever belief system you have is tied to your environment. And those of us that are from the wetland ecosystem, we are highly spiritual.
Highly spiritual?
Yes. In the sense that me, I've not seen one before, but before now, they tell us beings do come out from the water to interact with people, you know, but you've heard of marine spirit now, marine husband. So that is our belief system. We don't have mountain, otherwise we will be saying mountain husband.
But in recent time, is condemned a lot, you know. Those beliefs should be pushed away.
For which one? The mountain one? See, the truth is, you can't run away from the fact that if you are not doing your thing, you are doing another man's thing. That's just the truth. That's the blunt truth. If you are not practicing what you believe as a people, you'll be practicing what other people believe. Religions like Islam is alien to us. And you now tell me...
And it has a way of life.
Yes, it has a particular way of life that is still alien to us. And you now tell me, I'm a German, to begin to speak another language that I don't even understand. That is that language that my God understands. No. So religion and spirituality is localized. It's not universal. It's not universal. So when we talk about our wetlands, especially in the Niger Delta, it holds a lot for us. It holds. You've seen videos on Facebook, people going to do appeasement, pouring Fanta and drinks in the river. That's what they believe. Then when that river dries up, what will they do? Or when there is an incursion, what will they do? In fact, in the Kalabari area, every 15th of November, there is a practice. Now, before now, let me not take much of your time. I'll be very fast about it. Before even I was born, they told us, flooding used to come into the Calabar to destroy things, kill kids and all of that. So they had a pact. So every 15th of December, they do cleansing. And from the point they started it till now, that has stopped.
That's a belief system.
It's a belief system, and it is working. It's working. So people will not take it seriously, maybe because you will not relate with the terrain the Calabar man found himself. But
okay.
So a lot of things.
So why is preserving our traditional knowledge and cultural heritage very important? Why is it
it's important. Like I started with the incursion of the white man's technology. Before the advent of the white man technology, we were already working in synergy with nature, with our environment. So everything that we do.
So what is the place of technology in preserving our culture?
That is where regulation comes. That is where regulation comes. The moment technology comes, it should be regulated. Nuclear reactor can be used for different purposes. It can generate electricity for 200 years, but in the hands of one person, or if not regulated, it can be used to destroy cities in 1 second. So if we want to really work with Western technologies in our environment, and we want our environment to be conserved and preserved, then we should look at that regulatory regime. We must regulate. Okay. And that is what they are doing over there that we are not doing here presently.
Still having a World Wetland Day in mind, how should we celebrate World Wetland Day as a people?
I tell you, do a poll. In the Niger Delta, how many persons knows that we are celebrating wetlands? It will be so surprising, but that's why I must commend this effort. At least with what we are doing, with what others are doing, gradually people will begin to know that yes, there's a need for us to, every 2nd of February, look at our environment, what is going on right, what is going on, what is not going on right, and then come together and begin to take action. The awareness about this celebration in the Niger Delta is very low, even if every part of the Niger Delta is a wetland. But the awareness is very low. We only react when things happen. The moment the flooding goes, we are back to normal. But if every February we sit as a people, hold a conference, look at the Niger Delta ecosystem, look at what is happening, we give ourselves targets, it will go a long way. It will go a very long way. That's what I think.
Okay. Very soon we will leave, but there is an area that I know that you do a lot, and I want you to share with us. It has to do with the masquerades, the carvings. You know, the carving of the different fishes and the dancing. It's part of our cultural heritage.
It is.
As a people. And I know that you've been involved in this. No, I won't let you go until you talk about it, because it's part of the culture, it's part of the knowledge, it's part of the tradition, it's part of us as a people in the West. And I know
I deliberately skipped it.
But of course.
But again, those masquerades serves different purposes. Sometimes they remind us. For instance, if you look at the headpieces of some masquerade, like the Isela, the Moss Keeper, when they play it, it reminds you that already you've done something that has wiped a generation of Isela away. When there are also some fishes like the swordfish, the fish that has spikes. It's been a very long while.
You've not seen it.
Yes.
Seen it in the
yes. So when we play these masquerades, some of us that are conscious, we know that a lot of things have gone extinct. And we ask ourselves, what are we going to do to bring them back? But that is on one aspect. On this other aspect, the entertainment aspect shows us how we relate with these mostly birds, animals, and fishes.
Okay, as we round up now, what advice do you have for people in the Niger Delta, Rivers State in particular, on preserving our culture and our wetland area.
I want to call on the government of Rivers State to work with organizations to first. I think there should be a map. There should be a geological map of Rivers State. What we should do is to deepen that study. Then work with community, stakeholders. Let's sit and say, how do we collectively conserve this our delicate environment? And then for the communities, we see things before they happen. We will see the fire person. Sometimes we even volunteer to work with the person. And then we